and welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, CEO and founder, and today I'm pleased to welcome Mary Greer onto the show. And Mary is the Director of Sales for the Senior Living Division of Engrain. So welcome, Mary.
Thanks, Julie. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Mary, today we're going to talk about using technology in senior living and the ways that technology can enhance the customer experience. And we know our customers are everyone from the first person, the first touch on the website, or the first time that they walk in the door, all the way through residency. And I know that you have a lot of background in this area. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure, I can. I started my career originally in multifamily. I aged myself by saying I've got over 20 years experience in sales and marketing, but I started in multifamily back in 2005. Eventually moved to Dallas, relocated from Nashville, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, where I started working in some pretty fantastic, amazing luxury high rises that were under development in, again, the multifamily market. I transitioned in my career over to senior living, which was an exciting transition and definitely a learning curve to learn the new nuances of senior living. And I was director of marketing for a beautiful CCRC that was under development at the time, worked on that project from priority phase all the way through about midway through conversion. And one of the tools that we utilized at that community was TouchTour, which is the product that one of the products that Engrain, who I work for today, develops. And it's our touchscreen software for marketing. I had used it previously within the multifamily market. And of course, it was my best friend from that lease up perspective in the multifamily market, and that it helped us lease up our buildings faster, made our tours more efficient. So when I moved into the senior living market, I knew that there would be great benefit to having it within my community. And then when I transitioned over to Engrain, I made it my mission, if you will, to broaden our reach within the senior living market as a knowing that it can be such a valuable tool in not only obtaining those reservations and achieving your occupancy goals, but also creating a dynamic wow factor that would set us apart from any community, apart from competitors, and really create a wonderful experience for that prospective resident as they're doing a deep dive into discovery. So that's why I'm so passionate about the market and what we do here at Engrain.
Sounds excellent. And I am familiar with the touch screen product that Engrain offers, as well as other providers in our business. What would you say, and I do want to get back to that, but kind of globally, big picture, what are some of the benefits of using technology and maybe encouraging others to adopt technology more and more into their business?
Absolutely. Well, I think we're all very aware that our prospects today, our prospective residents today, are different than those from the past. I think that they have a higher expectation for technology, whether it's the community that they live in, having all of the latest and greatest tech in their apartment and throughout the community. And I think that, from my perspective, given that we specialize on the marketing side, they also have that same expectation from the very beginning when they begin their search. I think that from the time they go on your website and check out, what they might have to offer there within the community to pique their interest, you have to have the technology solutions there to grab them from that initial look at your community to really stand out. So that's where their expectations, I think, are really aligned with any 20, 30, or 40 something year old that might be searching for a new home. They're looking for the same things. They're looking for transparency. They want to be able to do their own discovery online. They want to be able to see floor plans. They want to be able to see a beautiful community map. We offer interactive community maps for their websites, that allow someone to see where the amenities are, to see what apartments are available that they might be able to come in and tour. And we find out that, you know, it really advances that lead. You're giving them enough information to wet their whistle and get them excited, and hopefully encourage that appointment sooner rather than later for people that maybe don't feel they're quite ready to come in. If you entice them enough with those, you know, engaging tools on the website, then they're most likely going to come in quicker and maybe potentially make that decision a little earlier than they anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely agree. I was listening to another podcast by a esteemed colleague, Christy Cunningham, recently, and who's really challenged all of us to embrace and think more and more the uses of technology in the sales process, because to your point, we're in the digital age, and just like you and I are having this conversation in two different states. And by the way, I'm in Nashville, and you are prior Nashvillians. So, you know, we can, I mean, there's some of the statistics around purchasing and certainly real estate. And while, you know, the argument could be made that, you know, choosing a senior living community, or, you know, choosing to, for entry level all the way through rental and skilled nursing is an emotional decision. And we're still a very high touch business. And that is very true. It doesn't, in my opinion, negate the fact that technology and that virtual experience will enhance, and in some cases is the only thing that customers might need, especially when using advanced tools like an interactive screen. You know, being able to, you know, virtually kind of walk through the building or virtually walk through an apartment, interactive floor planning, right? Seeing that site map from, you know, the big picture, not just 2D or 3D on a piece of paper, but kind of live. And, you know, we've been doing, well, technology to the point, I mean, when pre-leasing, right? In the days before advanced technologies such as, you know, what Engrain offers and other providers, you know, we had the storyboards, and then those are still great for the touch and feel. But what, in your opinion, as you've been working with senior living, your clients, what ways do you see technology enhancing the lives of residents once they've chosen?
I think that there are so many incredible providers that have wonderful tools, resident engagement tools, that showcase the wonderful lifestyle and amenities that a community offers, the activities that are taking place, the wonderful dining options that they have on site. And that communication is not only, of course, on site with wonderful. We integrate with several providers that have beautiful displays of that information that someone can easily obtain what they need. And of course, apps these days are very popular for residents to be able to have, you know, those activities on their own device, which they're utilizing. I think that, you know, everyone's used to using these devices now, and smart technology to do their scheduling. So I think that there's a plethora of options out there for residents to be able to engage and get information very quickly and easily without handing out a flyer of monthly activities, you know, where they can actually walk up and engage with a screen, it may be, that has those community event amenities, or of course that app. And it also, I think, really helps keep families involved too. Families want to know what their, you know, their parents, their grandparents are doing there, and making sure that they're being social and involved. And these applications that are, you know, out there today can really allow them to have some insight into that, where previously I didn't know anything that was going on in my relatives, communities, retirement communities. And now they can be a part of that. They can really be more engaged. So utilizing, applications that keep families in touch too. Like One Day, Heart Legacy does a great job of creating those personalized videos that keep people in touch. There's so many creative ways to keep people involved and incorporate more technology into their communities.
I spoke recently to a woman, an adult child who recently had her mother move to assisted living and up with a probable transition to memory care. It's an upcoming podcast episode. And, I was asking her about the journey and kind of what some of the factors were and which community she ultimately chose. And one of the things that she mentioned was the communication. So to go back to your point around what's happening with my mom, and one of the reasons that she did choose where she did, among other things, and it felt really good. Of course, she feels great about the team and the staff, and it feels like home. But she said they had those capabilities and those platforms in place for communication, not only with the staff and leadership, but also with her mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, so they were very specific on what they use. And to your point, there's a lot of great tools, great providers, and I will be posting links to some of those websites and some of those companies along with this podcast on the website, the Grow Your Occupancy website, for any of you listening who may want some suggestions. And also you could always reach out to, because like you said, there's so much, everything from sales enhancement tools, the videos, lead magnets on the website, live, bots and live chats to encourage engagement for scheduling tours and follow up. And then once residents are in the building, everything from robots, right, through touch screens, through interactive, the apps, and live. Just talked to a woman who does live game shows. Live meaning you can have a live host or hostess, and that streams live for kind of like Wheel of Fortune. But so it's I know, and to watch people really engage is very, very cool. What, in your opinion, can you talk a little bit about the benefit, the other benefits? So the practical benefits of communication and the fun, right? The engagement. What other benefits are you seeing for our residents, our families, our team members for adopting technology?
Sure. Well, I think that, again, speaking from the marketing aspect first, because that's where my world primarily resides. We use our tool ultimately to really engage in, again, a unique way with someone. We believe in that, of course, the people are what matters most. They're in the community, the sales counselors that they're working with, and defining and tailoring that messaging to make sure that they're touching those hot buttons of someone that's most important. And so when we build out our journey through our Touch Tour product, our goal is to match that. Our goal is to make sure that everything that they need is right at their fingertips, so that they are able to really craft an experience that's going to be right for that individual. So as they mention the things that are important to them, it's collecting those favorites and saving it to a digital brochure so that they get that follow-up at the end of their visit, and they really feel heard. They feel like they weren't just handed a paper brochure of all the floor plans that are offered, but they're tailored to those specific ones that they were most interested in, and that any photos that were shared or messaging along the way is captured those things that meant the most to them. So that's where, from the beginning, I think there's a way to engage in a a very different way that is more interactive and more inclusive of that prospective resident. It's not just necessarily putting floor plans across a table and looking through the differences, but really defining what's important to them in their decision, and embracing how it's not just the four walls that they live within, but the lifestyle of the community, and being able to have engaging tools that share the experience of existing residents there. If it's a new development, can speak to what is going to take place in the future with wonderful visuals, and, you know, really, I think making someone feel that community through even just sitting at a table or even across a Zoom meeting. I mean, we do a lot of these virtually. We have teams using our software virtually to be able to share what a community is going to offer. And then, of course, making sure that that transitions on as they, you know, move into the community, that that engagement still stays there. And I think that, you know, going back to that, you know, resident-facing experience of, you know, activities and events and the communication along the way is just so critical to making sure that everyone feels embraced by the community. Hope that I answered your question.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, it sounds to me like, you know, when you're talking, Mary, that, you know, the emotional side. We talk a lot about, you know, this is a very emotional decision at an extremely difficult time in most of our customers' lives. And that we are a very high touch business, and we've got to have all the logistics in place. It's got to make sense, but really it's emotionally driven. And we can personalize, you know, technology. We can personalize through technology, right? We can connect emotionally for those, that very important, like you said, embrace, you know, in that important, like, feel seen and heard, you know, that they feel embraced and they feel heard for their uniqueness. And so the emotional component, the, you know, the physical wellness, there's technologies around, you know, physical wellness. At Argentum where the virtual, you know, did the virtual reality where I was pedaling, and it really felt like I was literally pedaling, you know, on a, you know, sitting down, and I was like going through trails and things like that. So from a physical standpoint, spiritual standpoint, that connection with others, interactive games and things like that. So really thinking, you know, technology doesn't necessarily sound personal, but it really
It doesn't sound warm, but it can be.
That's right. That's right.
It can give you all the feels.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that, you know, I attended a really great session at Argentum where they were speaking to the value of having video tell a story, and, you know, how you feel it so much more when you can see someone act, you know, in whatever that situation may be. It tells that story in such a different, unique way. And I thought it was such a great session because it really shed a lot of light on, you know, it's, you know, I can sit here and tell you a story all day, but if you actually see it take place, it's the reason that we all take videos of our kids these days. It's the reason that, you know, you want to be able to live that moment again, and you can with video and these types of engaging tools that capture a moment instead of it just being fleeting.
Yeah, and, you know, just start somewhere. If, you know, some people listening, or that can maybe have all the components and just always looking at ways to enhance, and others are just looking at maybe just dipping into some of the technologies. And I'm not a technology expert, but I've seen a lot of benefits. I've used a lot of these tools. I have clients that use a lot of these tools, and just get started. I know when I'm learning something or a concept, or, you know, I want to say, okay, tell me what to do, or tell me the next step, right? And it could be as simple as that personalized video. And from the sales perspective, sending a pre-tour hello, a post-tour thank you. From an engagement perspective, my father lives in an assisted living community going on 5 years. And it would mean a ton to me. The emails I get mean a lot of those updates, but what would mean even more, I love seeing them on Facebook and the photos, but even that minute of, hey, I'm in with your dad, just want to say hi, and a quick video would mean a lot, would mean a lot. And that's a relatively simple thing to do. So not wanting to overwhelm, because there's a lot of options out there. Think game of inches, right? Think one thing. What problem are you trying to solve? And, if it's from a sales perspective, if it, from that experiential component, is it engagement? Is it staffing? Is it resident satisfaction? Recruiting? We haven't talked about that. There's a lot of ways that technology can be rolled into the business, right? You mentioned integration too, because
That's exactly what I was headed towards, is that, we also have an opportunity with these, with these different vendors. Everyone's goal, I think, or at least the vast majority, want to make things easier for the team. They want to simplify processes. They want to take out some of the grunt work that is today. They want to take away some of the paper. We got a lot of paper still floating around in the industry, where we could eliminate some of that and replace it with more innovation. And I think integrations are really are an important component of what we do, at least. And we integrate with really the majority of the top CRMs these days. So any, your Inquiry, Welcome Home, Sherpa, Eldermark, Yardi Senior, we have a vast and growing list of integrations there. And then, also integrations with other partners like One Day, like Heart Legacy, making sure that we have those videos captured and we pull it all together into one kind of pretty puzzle that pulls together all the components that lets everyone kind of take a journey through a community all the way through. And that's fantastic for our clients, because they get the benefit of using each of us for our own purpose, but it's all pulled together. Like I said, that a resident engagement component coming into the mix. And so you're thinking about everyone, and for every use case that someone would be utilizing the technology. So it's very broad.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your expertise and your insights, Mary. This is a topic that of great interest to many, and we'll continue talking about technology. And ultimately, what we're all interested in is keeping our communities at full capacity with very satisfied, very happy residents that feel seen and heard, team members, staff, leaders that find a home too and want to stay and grow with the companies that ultimately serve our residents, and everybody plays a part. So really appreciate you and what your team does for the sales side of things. Just real quick before we go, I always like to do a speed round. And I know you have 2 young children, so you probably don't have a whole lot of time for reading or movies and things like that. So I'm going to start with your favorite summer pastime.
My favorite summer pastime. So being that I did move away from my family, I moved from Nashville, which is still home to me. So you're there at home now. My family is all there. So we do try to get together in the summers, and of course a few other times throughout the year. So of course, spending time with my family and letting my kids play with their cousins, that brings me the most joy, is seeing those little people run around together and enjoy one another and make memories. So, and of course, seeing my parents, my grandmother, everyone else that I get to see when I'm there.
That's awesome. Sounds like a lot of family time. Nashville's a beautiful place to visit at any time, but summertime and so much outdoor opportunity. What about vacation? What's the best vacation that you've ever been on?
My best vacation, I guess, probably a little bit of a tie. So my husband and I got married in Mexico at a beautiful resort called Excellence Playa New Harris, and it was an all-inclusive resort. And we had everybody, not everybody, but everyone who could come. His grandparents, my parents, siblings, about 19 people come to our wedding, and my happiest point in that vacation was looking around. I was laying beside the pool and I saw my best friends getting massages by the pool. I saw my dad diving for quarters. I saw my mom in her big floppy hat and his grandpa walking with his socks up to his knees around the pool. And I looked around and thought, you know, I have all of these amazing people that came here for us, and everyone is doing their own thing and having a fantastic time. And so that is definitely top of my list. Second would be my girls' trip with my best friend that I took this year, and had a little bit of time away from my little people and my husband. And we got to just go and eat and enjoy the beach and our time together. So those are two close vacations, both involved.
Both sound absolutely amazing. Glad you had girl time. My girlfriends mean the world to me, and so I can completely relate. Mary, thanks again for joining me on the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. For any of you who want to reach out or schedule any time with me, you can go on the Grow Your Occupancy website, which is growyouroccupancy.com, or Julie at Grow Your Occupancy. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye, Mary.
Bye.